It's a martial art, a dance, a fight, but for these young Angolans, capoeira is above all a way to get in touch with their history. The Portuguese, the first to leave their colonial footprint on Africa, arrived in what is now Angola in the 15th century. By the mid-1800s, as many as 4 million Africans had been captured and shipped across the Atlantic.
Capoeira started as a traditional dance among the African slaves sent to Brazil. For them, it was like a cry for freedom.
Through movement and music, the slaves who spoke different languages were able to communicate. But capoeira was also conceived as a self-defense technique. Performed close to the ground, it combines fluid moves with kicks and sweeps. Capoeira's similarity with Angolan traditional dance and its use of local instruments like the berimbau make it unmistakably African, an empowering fact for these young capoeiristas.
I know capoeira is from here and now it's practiced around the world, so I'm very proud because it's ours, its roots are here.
I'm never going to stop practicing. I'll continue because I love capoeira.
Many people still see capoeira as a Brazilian invention. But this will certainly change as the discipline becomes more and more popular and its true African origins harder to ignore.
They were taken to Brazil by the Portuguese, a European nation, now a nation. At the time they were not a nation, they were just Europeans, random Europeans, ragtag Europeans, who fought a 40-year war with Angola. Okay, now known as Angola, at the time it was Ndongo. And they fought Queen Nzinga for 40 years, and they were defeated for 40 years, but then one time they won, and that major victory, they enslaved our people of the West Africa and even in East Africa, Mozambique region, and brought them over to Brazil. So you had so many different nations of Africans who were kidnapped, and in Brazil, they came together with their mind, their culture, their historical legacy, their dances, and their martial arts, and they forged capoeira from bondage. but they had to disguise it as a dance because if they were out in the open doing punches or whatever kicks, it would be obvious what they were doing and it would be shut down immediately. So in Brazil, what was the difference in the slavery system from America was in America, all remnants of our culture was taken away. Drum, any music, any dances were not allowed to do under any circumstances. But in Brazil, they had freedom because the Portuguese slave system differed from the English slave system. Okay, the English slave system was a family enterprise. Okay, the Portuguese, they were single men. Okay, they didn't have family. They were just like adventurers, you know, or ballers players, however you want to come to know it today in modern terminology. They allowed the Africans a certain freedom to practice their culture, to practice their music, to practice their dances and things, because they felt, well, if we keep them a little happy, they will be better slaves for us, they will do more work. So they were given a leeway to forge capoeira and to what it was and to what it is now. Okay, and it's went through a constant evolution to this day, and it's still evolving to this day. The thing about Brazil that is significant is slavery or Africans were brought into bondage in Brazil 100 years before any slaves or Africans who were made slaves were brought into America, because the Portuguese founded the slave trade. They initiated the slave trade. The Portuguese who initiated, then the Spanish, then the French got involved, then the Dutch, and last was the English. And the English was able to make the greatest fortune from enslaving Africans, or enslaving our ancestors. So capoeira went through a violent period in which Africans had to fight in certain situations. They had to fight to get free. And they used capoeira in this way because at that time, the guns or musket shot one bullet at a time, and they had to load and drop the gunpowder in. So they had more than enough time to deliver the deadly blows of capoeira. And they had a lot of time practicing capoeira because they were able to successfully disguise it as a dance. And when the rebellion took place, or the revolution, they were able to free themselves and even go north of Brazil and establish their own nation states called quilombos. And the quilombos were their independent colonies, okay, deep in the rainforest. And they would migrate down to Brazil where the plantations were, where the Europeans were holding us as slaves, and free these different plantations and bring them back to the quilombo where they developed capoeira more within their own freedom, and they could then deal with more of the outright martial arts without fear of being, you know, whipped or anything like that, because they had maintained they had gotten or won their freedom from combat. So this is in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s. Brazil had the longest period of slavery than any nation in the Americas. We had in America, the abolition of slavery, 1865, Cuba was 1868, and Brazil was 1888, okay? In 1888, we were so-called free in Brazil, and then they turned around in 1892 and banned capoeira and all African forms of dance, music, martial arts, etc. And if you were caught doing a handstand, a backflip, any public display of acrobatics, you were taken to a colony and enslaved. They let you out and do it again, they would cut your Achilles tendon to make sure that you never get capoeira or any other acrobatics or physical, extremely physical activities ever in your life. So it comes from a very rich culture. You have 5 nations that came together with their minds and resources and individual national dancing and martial arts. You have the Igbo, Bantu, Fulani, Mandingo, and Yoruba people came together and found and it is also the only original martial art of the Americas. When I say America, I'm talking about North America, South America, Central America. It's all the Americas, only the Americas. So you have other martial art systems, as we will know, Karate, Taekwondo, Aikido, which is really pumped up for us to go and learn these forms of martial arts. And these are great forms of martial arts. However, capoeira offers something that these other martial arts do not offer. Especially if you are one African descent, it will bring you into the knowledge of self, or at least introduce you to a knowledge of self. And from that introduction, or that initiation, you go deeper and deeper and find enrichment on so many levels beyond fighting, beyond self-defense. We have music, capoeira. Been about real quick. So you have music in capoeira, which is very different than any other martial art. In Muay Thai, they have music as well, but they are not urged as individual Muay Thai practitioners to learn how to play all the instruments of the Muay Thai music. In capoeira, it is very essential that you know how to play the berimbau, the drum, the atabaque, pandeiro, which is the tambourine. I have that as well, and I'll play that for you all. But this instrument is the main instrument in capoeira, the berimbau. Everyone repeat, berimbau. Can I hear everyone please? Berimbau. Berimbau. All right, berimbau is the first instrument, the first string instrument ever created. It is the father of the piano, guitar, bass, cello, violin, all these other string instruments come from this instrument right here. And it's an instrument that gives off positive healing vibrations. So when you play capoeira, it's more than I'm in there trying to attack, destroy my opponent. Although you can do that. It has a certain level of grace to it. It has a certain level of soul that's there. It's like a soul-trained martial art. And, you know, that makes me think of what recently happened to Don Cornelius, rest his soul. They're saying that he committed suicide. I feel like that is a complete absolute lie. But I'm not going to get into that too much. I want to give a shout out to Don Cornelius because when I talk about capoeira, I explain it like it is a soul-trained martial art. You're not just learning how to kick, you're not just learning how to flip, you're not just learning how to move, you're learning how to groove, you see. And within that, you find your own energetic rhythmic signature that you can then go and use to ascertain a state of life. That's what this all is about, is enlightenment, going to a high level of consciousness through the mastery of yourself. Now another thing in martial arts is really a lot of people talk about, well, I'm gonna use it pretty mild, but I want to break this down before I want to use the least amount of energy to get the most amount of effectiveness out of my technique. Great technique, no problem. However, a lot of these martial arts that I see emphasize this type of methodology are not into fitness. Okay, it's one thing to train martial arts, it's another thing to be in shape and fit. All right, if you have so much deadly martial arts skill, you can whoop 10 guys at one time by yourself. But because you train a certain martial art that you don't really use that much energy, you don't really work out that much, you find yourself getting obese. And from obesity, you allow the enemy within to destroy you. So if you can whoop 100 guys by yourself, but you're not practicing and dealing with a fitness-oriented martial art, you will, at some point, allow the enemy within to take over. Case in point, Steven Seagal, right? One of the greatest Aikido masters on the planet. Okay, numerous movies, taking guys through the windows and going, you know, through the doors and all types of stuff he's doing. But if you look at his state of health now, all that martial arts training, he can whoop 10, 15 guys all in the movies, but because Aikido does not stress being in shape, he's all out there. And now he's allowed that enemy within, because the enemy within is the most dangerous enemy of all. It's not the enemies outside you, it's the enemies within you that you have to destroy, that you have to defeat. It's the enemies within you. Okay, so I say all that to say that capoeira, as you can see, is a serious cardio workout. We get to sweating, we're going slowly, we're just warming up. And we feel it, you know, because it's a lot of movement. You're grooving, you're using every muscle in your body. okay? And it is also to sweat. You must sweat, okay? You eat food, right? Everyone eats food here, right? Well, any food you eat, any food, if you're a vegetarian, it's definitely meat. But even if you're a vegetarian, you are eating a certain amount of bacteria. Every time you eat, you're eating a certain amount of bacteria. And you breathe in bacteria, so it's even beyond eating. But especially with eating, you have to make sure that you are purifying yourself. And you purify yourself by sweating through your pores, by getting out these toxins within you. So that's what Capoeira has to offer: culture, music, dynamic acrobatics, dynamic kicks, dynamic movements, history, rich legacy. Okay, all of these things it has to offer. And I'm gonna get to the bit about it. We can get to the theatrical performance. If you have any questions about capoeira, maybe something is on your mind, maybe I haven't addressed everything you may be curious about. This time you can bring it forth. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? No. All right. So now we're going to use the play the one again. Motion.
When I was in Bahia, here in Salvador, Brazil, I see our brothers here. And here in their art form, and by the way, that's a slave dungeon right there. They got slave dungeons in Brazil, just like in Cape Coast and Elmina, West Africa. They kidnapped us, brought us over here to the West. But I noticed that capoeira, and you see the sticks figure that was brought across the Atlantic Ocean. But the art form called capoeira, as the art form that you see right here, goes back thousands of years. As you see, they're still practicing right here in Bahia in Salvador, capoeira. And look closely. And here I'm right there in the middle. They're showing me the art form right there. On the temple, but you see it right there on the temples of Egypt over 3,000 years ago. These are books in stone that our ancestors left us. And you see them with the stick figures for the fighting right here.